up, swashbucklers? You're listening to Under the Crossbones, episode number 187. My name is Phil Johnson. I'm your host for the show and the ship's social media director here each and every week for you. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for telling your friends, visiting sponsors, sending donations, all that stuff that you do that helps me keep the old boat afloat. I appreciate it. Here we are, episode number 187. A couple of fun facts about the number 187. First of all, 187 is a common popular culture slang for murder, because that is the code in the California Penal Code for murder is 187. So you hear it in songs, rap songs, and there's a Hollywood Undead song. There's a Sublime song that references that. So that's out there. There are also 187 chapters in the Hebrew Torah. So happy Passover, my Jewish friends out there. In a Scrabble game, Scrabble, the board game, in a standard English Scrabble set, the total value of all the tiles is 187. Now, if you used all the tiles at once, that'd be a heck of a score, and you'd probably have a triple word score in there somewhere. But that's, of course, impossible. Now, this is I ran across this one. I don't know what to make of this one. I'm going to put it out there. You decide. Sesame Street's Muppet, Count Von Count, the Count that counts everything, the little vampire guy, right? His favorite number, according to an interview, yes, there's an interview, is 34,969, and he explains it. He goes, it's a square root thing. Well, the square root of 34,969 is 187. It's 187 squared. And so this was talked about and speculated in a BBC mathematics program to be a reference between Count Dracula and the California Murder Code. I'm gonna link in the show notes. I'm gonna link the BBC article that talks about it, just so you know I'm not making this up. I make a lot of stuff up on the show sometimes. That one I'm not making up. It's not only does the Count maybe have a background in murder, he's a vampire after all, but even stranger, the BBC has a mathematics program. So you go figure. Anyway, hit the show notes, and I'll link to that BBC article that has that in there. It just made me laugh. And show notes, of course, for this episode are at underthecrossbones.com/187, or just tap on the cover art in whatever you're listening to the old podcast on. My guest today is Steve Genett of A Pirate's Book of Days. That is an app for your phone, both Android, iPhone, and it is you get a new pirate story each day, factual, something from history kind of pirate story, something that happened on that day. He also has a directory of festivals and museums and pirate crew events. There's a gallery of pictures. It is a really in-depth, very cool app. Something that you will take a look at when you're traveling around and you're looking for a pirate something in wherever you are to check out. Or if you just want like a pirate daybook kind of app where, you know, there's you get a new little history tidbit of what happened on that day way back when. So you can pick that up in your favorite app store, the iPhone store, the Apple store, I don't know what it's called, I don't have one, or the Google Play Store, whatever store where you get your apps, you can find that in there. Okay, so we're going to talk to Steve Genett about the development of it, why he got into it, how he got into it, and what it's all about. And we have a pretty good talk, so I think you're going to enjoy it. If you're enjoying the show, come join us over on Facebook. Facebook.com/underthecrossbones. We're having lots of fun over there. On Twitter, we're at undercrossbones. No the, because it's too long. And of course, make sure that you're subscribed to the show in whatever you're listening to this on. Just hit that little subscribe button, and you'll get the new episodes every Tuesday as soon as they come out. So, did you have a good Easter, Passover, NBA Finals, sleeping in, whatever your jam was over the weekend? I hope you had a good weekend. We did. We encompassed a little bit of all that. I think we missed Passover, but I have some Jewish friends. Did some sleeping in, did some hardcore sleeping in. Yes, I did. Did some NBA finals because my girlfriend's an NBA nut. We've talked about that. Did some Easter stuff. We got together with my folks and my friends, Jeff and Lindy and Jeff's folks. Hey, Jeff, I know you're listening. And we had dinner at their place, and man, did I overeat. Yes, I did. We had lasagna. We had a Cajun linguine that I brought. We had garlic bread. We had ham. We had salad. There was so much food. Peach cobbler, ice cream. And here's what happens is when I eat a huge, giant dinner like that, and then I try to go to sleep after, crazy dreams. I don't know if this is a thing. Do you do this? If you eat too much at night, do you have crazy ass dreams? Because I do. And so every time I went to fall asleep, and it would be, we're moving into a new house, and something in the house wants to kill us. It was like that dream over and over and over all night long. So I woke up this morning exhausted. Yeah. Fortunately for you, took a nap before I finished today's show. So I'm a little fresher now, and it's all good. And it's going to be a busy week. Busy week. I'm on the road hitting Southern California this week. So if you're in Southern California, come out to one of these shows. April the 25th, I'll be at Flappers Comedy Club in Burbank, California. On April the 26th, I'll be at the Ventura Comedy Club in Ventura, California. April the 27th at the Comedy Palace in San Diego, California. April the 28th at Van Nuys Comedy Club at the Springbok in Van Nuys, California. So that's all coming up this week. And then May 3rd, I'll be headlining at the Silver Dollar Saloon in Marysville, California, out by Sacramento. April the 4th, I'll be at Federation Brewing in Oakland, California. On the 8th, Slate Bar in San Francisco. And on May 17th, I'll be at Johnny's Bar and Grill in Hollister, California. So hitting a whole bunch of California over the next couple of weeks. If you want to get the tour dates and all the information for the shows and all that, just go to underthecrossbones.com, click on the tour dates button, and all that information is there. And of course, you can always go to philjohnsоncomedy.com too, and that's got everything. Oh, the whole shebang, all the comedy, all the music. I'm also, if you're on Spotify or one of the music streaming services, Pandora, whatever, stick my name in there. It'll come up. Yeah, all sorts of stuff. We are sponsored today by TeePublic. They're a cool company, a t-shirt company that works with t-shirt artists, and they get together with t-shirt artists. They put together some really great shirts, and then everybody splits up the money in a very equal and happy way, including me when you buy some. So I have curated a collection of over 100 super cool pirate t-shirts for you. There's funny ones, there's sexy ones, there's scary ones, and they're all really super cool pirate t-shirts. So you can check those out at underthecrossbones.com/shirt. That's underthecrossbones.com/shirt. And I know you need a new pirate t-shirt. Why? Because you're a pirate fan, and we can never have enough pirate t-shirts, right? I have drawers full, and I still need more. Yes. So again, go to underthecrossbones.com/shirt and see all the super cool pirate t-shirts that I've picked out for you. Grab one for yourself. That's where they are. If you want to help support the show in other ways, you can go to the support page, underthecrossbones.com/support, and right there, there's a little PayPal box where you can donate an amount of your choice. Whatever you would like to put in there is great. There's an Amazon banner. You click that Amazon banner, you go to Amazon, you buy yourself something nice. Doesn't cost you anything extra or anything. Amazon kicks me back a few shekels. That helps me keep the show going, and I appreciate it. If you want to be a sponsor of the show, like any of our other great sponsors, all the information is there for that as well. And you can do it up. We'll tell the pirates about whatever you got, whatever your thing is. All right, so let's do it. Let's get into my talk now. This is Steve Genett of A Pirate's Book of Days. Enjoy. The name of the app is A Pirate's Book of Days, and I was taking a look at your website on it today and the app and everything, and it looks very cool. Explain to my listeners a little bit about what's involved in the app. What do they get with it?
So A Pirate's Book of Days is really designed for one primary function, and that is to give a different story about pirates every day to the users. It's kind of like having a book, a pirate book. And, I'm sure a lot of your listeners, I'm sure you have a lot of pirate books. I have hundreds, literally. And I'll buy a book. I'll find one out of print in an antique and rare bookstore. I'm always scouring the world looking for new books about pirates. And I'll read it, and I'll consume it. Boom. Like right now I'm reading probably a 300-page book about pirates every week. And then I put it on a shelf, and I've got shelves and cabinets and loads and piles of pirate books.
Right.
And I'll give them away to somebody who's interested. And, I have books I bought in the 90s I haven't read since then.
Okay.
So, this is kind of like you get a book, you're getting a page of the book, a little story every day, and they're really not I can't ignore, Blackbeard and Maynard and the battle on November 22nd.
Sure.
The Widow is coming up, the shipwreck, the Widow wreck is coming up in a couple of days, the end of this month, because they're milestones in the golden age of piracy. And every year going forward, we'll talk about those occurrences. But day by day, I try to find things you never heard of.
Okay.
I go through old publications. I go through archives. I go through old published works, scholarly works that maybe somebody wrote a paper on 40 years ago or 70 years ago. I dig these up out of university archives and online, and I'll read 300 or 400 pages worth of pirate lore and stories.
Okay.
But a lot of it's obscure. Their names you hadn't heard. It was headlines of the day. It was a big story back 300 years ago, and then it was done. They tried them, they hung them, and moved on. And then there was somebody else the next week.
Right.
So that's really what I try to do, is deliver the things that people haven't heard, stories about pirates and piracy that they haven't heard. And I always try to put it in a little bit of a context so that, like, from whatever accounts I can gather, and I try to get more than one. When I find a story, I'll go and I'll look for cross-referencing, because a lot of these dates, a lot of it is, nobody reported it for 5 months till they got back to port after they were marooned, or after they rode to some port on their own, or they survived. Dead men tell no tales, but the ones who lived, maybe they didn't even tell about it for a year.
Sure.
Happened in the Indian Ocean. A lot of it is, if you can find a trial record or an admiralty record or a transcript that backs up a proceeding somewhere that's official government, then you get, the best details. You go with the newspaper account from Scotland from 1684, and you know what? If you can't find it in the record somewhere, that's all you have. Right. So maybe it's 100% accurate, maybe it's not. Maybe it's the gist of the story. I try to make it entertaining and put some context. I try to give the readers, the app users, some details about how it occurred. They fired a shot across the bow, they hove to, all that kind of thing of how the process went to board a ship and demand the papers, find false colors, all the things that happen to trick people into stopping, to brutalize them. Whatever happened, I try to find all those details that go along with it so people can get a real feel for what occurred.
Nice. Are the events sort of date matched to the day much? I mean, outside of the Witta and the Blackbeard story and things like that, is it, on this day in pirate history, or is it not as matched up like that?
Probably 360 days of the year it is.
Nice. And
there's just some days I can't find something from the past 400 years that happened on that date.
Slow news days happen all the time.
Or nobody lived to tell about it. Maybe It happened. You'll find where a pirate was operating off the Carolinas in a 14-day window, and they've got survivors at this point, survivors at that point. They've got records of ships. Then there's 15 ships that disappeared.
Right.
They killed everybody. They burned them. They sunk them. They took the ship. There's nobody to tell you what happened. But if they were off the Capes of Delaware that week, and there's bookended occurrences, it's a pretty safe bet that they were busy on one of the days in between. And then you have to look at hurricane seasons, the whole calendar shift.
Right.
To Gregorian calendar. Yeah. You're looking at a date that maybe isn't really that date. I don't whittle it down that far. If it's January 12th, it's January 12th.
Sure.
Gregorian or not, it doesn't matter for me. That's why I try to say it's entertainment.
Sure.
I'm not going to go all the way down and split hairs and then get into latitude and longitude and what was the hours.
Right.
I try to make every day is a new story.
That's great.
And when it's the same story, I try to take a different spin on it.
Okay.
Look at it from a different perspective. I'll look at it, find what I can about the victim. I'll find what I can about what happened after. So like that day happened and what led up to it to make it a milestone. What happened afterward. Like this April, the story of Blackbeard and Maynard finally got to England. It took till April. Mary Read died from a fever in Navy childbirth, they never said.
Right.
This month in 1718, although, the trial and everything was in the fall, October, November, all that occurred back in 1717. So, that's a milestone. She died, but the circumstances aren't clear. They really didn't care much. They didn't have to hang her. They didn't have to wait for her to give birth to hang her. So
right.
They were happy.
Yeah.
But, that's a date that it's coming up.
Okay.
It's coming up in 2 weeks.
Nice.
So that's a milestone. She's a famous female pirate. She died.
Sure.
So a little context before where she came from and all that. And now next year, if I find something for that same day, that same year, I won't hit that again. So I've been doing this since November. The beta program was November of 17.
Okay.
I launched the app on November 21st, the day Maynard got to Ocracoke.
Okay.
And the second story was about the Blackbeard death, the battle and his death.
Okay. All right. So let me ask you this. Why? I mean, you obviously have a lot of information. Most people would then go out and build a website around this. Why did you decide to do an app over a website?
Years and years ago, I was creating, I was building a Pirate's Book of Days.
Okay.
It was meant to be desk calendar.
Ah.
The day book where you get like a liner, and literally the characters I had for a liner was like a tweet at the time of right now, what tweets were prior to just recently. It was 157 characters.
Okay.
So I had done research, and this is back in 2003. So I had gone through and I'd done 365 days of liners to go with a day book.
Okay.
I used to get, I'm a sailor, I sailed forever and have been interested in pirates since I was a little kid. But I used to get a day book every year at Christmas. It was the common thing for me every year. I got the Mariner's Book of Days.
Okay.
And it, gave ship launchings, passages, the fastest passage from New York to Hong Kong in a clipper ship, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
They made it to Hong Kong on this date in, 64 days, whatever it was. So there was liners in that. And I thought, boy, this would be really cool if I did this as a pirate liner. So I went through all my books and I made notes, and that's what was around, at the time to do it with.
Uh-huh.
So I had all those sitting there. One of the things I do is I make websites and build apps.
Okay.
Kind of an income generator for me sometimes.
All right.
And I said, rather than go out and print a day book, a desk calendar, like thing that nobody uses, everything's on your phone anymore.
Right.
Let's make an app that gives you every day, gives you a different pirate story, and I can go a lot further than 154 characters. I get 2,000. I get 2,400 and some right now. So I can write a story. I can take it and flesh it out and do details other than this pirate was hanged on this date in Boston.
Uh-huh.
So I went back 2 years ago. I kind of retired from my real job. And I went back and I fleshed out a bunch of dates. And I started building the app.
Okay.
So eventually the intentions are to do this day in pirate history book. I mean, I've got this day in Confederate history, this day in World War II history, this day, all those books.
Uh-huh.
I'm a history guy, just all around. So to list 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 things that happen on a date,
okay,
and turn it into a book. But meanwhile, I can generate interest and I can do the research and write the stories and find the details and cross-reference things and build it all out with the app.
Okay. All right. Yeah, no, that's actually a really interesting way of using the research time to your advantage until the book is ready to go. I think that's pretty cool. Tell me a little bit about the development of the app itself. Are you a hard coding type of guy, or are you developing it on one of the platforms for app development, or how are you going about that?
I'm a coding light kind of guy.
Okay.
So I'm building it on an app builder platform.
Okay.
That I license. So I'm licensed on the builder. So if I want to do a map for the museums, so in the app there's pirate treasure and nautical museums worldwide that are listed in a mapping functionality.
Okay.
So when you have the app, you're a user, you download the app, and you're the pinpoint. And it says you're 1,300 miles from the treasure museum in St. Augustine.
Okay.
You get closer, you're on the same street, if you're on the same street.
Okay.
So you're going on vacation, you're taking a trip, you're with the family, you're going somewhere for the weekend. You can literally open the map and say, what's there I could see about pirates here? What kind of pirate interest or treasure or maritime history can I see while I'm there? You're West Coast. So we've got points of interest in San Diego. Actually, my server's in San Diego, not that matters. But we've got San Francisco. I'll go in and list there's a new feature in the app that I started this year that are sailing tours.
Oh,
you want to go on a sailing tour, and there's dozens and dozens of sailing tours. Portugal, the Caymans, all over the Caribbean, all over the U.S., the U.K. I think I have one in Australia, Hawaii.
Nice.
So now there's a new feature where you're on vacation, you have the app, want to go on a sailing tour, and they'll describe the tour. There's links to everybody's pages and everybody's tickets and their schedules and everything else, because I'm not going to pay 55 things every week. I just don't have the time for that.
Sure, yeah.
But I'll link to I can link to their pages, and I can link to their media. If they've got a video on YouTube, I embed the video so you can see what the experience is about. It's the same way with museums and like that. So that's another great feature with it, because I've been to the Bahamas. I don't know how many times. I've been to the Nassau Pirates Museum probably half a dozen times altogether. Most of the time when I go to the Bahamas, I go to Nassau and specifically go to the museum. The last time I was there, I did the fort, the museum, and then there's another fort on the other side of the island that nobody knows about, but I went to go see that. It's like one of the original small forts. It's really cool. Can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, so sorry. I'm going to find that, and I'm going to put it on as a pinpoint.
There you go, yeah.
There's pirate cemeteries in the app. You want to go read the headstones on some pirates and pirate graves and all that kind of thing. There's a Jewish pirate cemetery out in the Caribbean.
Wow.
The Jewish pirates of the Caribbean who were around. They came over with Spain and whatnot. They were involved in finance, banking, and all that kind of thing, the money changers, whatever you want to call it. But there's all kinds of these offshoots of weird pieces of history, and I try to find a place for those within the app.
That's really neat, and I think that it's definitely a very useful component of the app, because this morning I went into the Google Play Store and I just searched pirate in their app store to see what was in there, and 99% of what's in there is just pirate games, which is fine. There's a lot of them out there.
Yep.
But there was nothing like this. There was one history of pirates app in there. I almost said podcast. That's a different thing. It was called History Pirates, and it looked super boring. It did not look entertaining at all. It just looked like reading a basic textbook anyway, which is not boring, but not great for an app. And so when I was looking at yours and I saw that you were listing festivals and museums and all this kind of stuff, I thought, oh, this is super cool for the pirates that are traveling the country and going to different festivals and stuff. And I travel all over the country constantly. And if I'm in the middle of Indiana, I want to go, is there anything entertaining here for a pirate fan? And chances are no, because it's Indiana. But
you know what? I think in Illinois, there's just pirate sailing cruises. There's pirate sailing cruises on the Great Lakes, up in Michigan, Lake Erie. It's strange, but you find them because people like it and they want to go. I mean, anywhere I go and I see something pirate, I go and I poke around and see what it is. So yeah, that's one of the reasons are there. The festivals and events, I'll take one each month and I give it an app screen out of my 5 rotating screens. I'll feature that one, and I like to keep it up for about 6 weeks. So I did the NOLA, New Orleans Pirate Fest week. There was a ton of events. One of the organizers of that is somebody who does history tours up in Canada. Okay. Walking history tour. And I have those listed in the app too, because they're really cool. If you ever run into somebody, you go and you get a walk through Charleston or Newport, Rhode Island, or New Orleans, or whatever. They're really a cool thing to go do. And a lot of people would want to do it if they even knew it was there. But, chances are it's not. You don't know. Right. If you're there. I've been to Charleston dozens of times, and I didn't know there was a pirate walking tour there until I went and I found it. So the festivals and events, I try to promote one regionally somewhere, every month, and I'll hit it on social media. I put all of them on social media, on the Facebook and Instagram account. I'll put them up there. Okay. For the events all the time, and then I'll do one that's kind of a bigger regional event. There's a Hampton Black Beer Festival in June. That's the 20th year. I'm going to promote it. It's right here by me. And then there's another pirate invasion the end of April. It's kind of the one that happened in North Carolina last weekend. Okay. It's really probably the kickoff to the East Coast, Southeast region for events. But I just stopped promoting the New Orleans one on April 4th, and there really was no lead time to run up to the 12th, or 13th, 14th, whatever it was, 12th, 13th. So that one I didn't promote. It was in North Carolina. This next one that's down in Hampton Roads, I'll do that. And then the one in June, because they're like 6 weeks apart, I'll hit those two. And then I'm on to July. I did the one out in California, the big one in the West Coast.
Oh, yeah.
Last summer, we promoted that. So at the Beaufort Pirate Invasion in August, we did that one. We actually were there. I was there on site. Yeah, we try to let people know what's going on, where they are. I took a new feature I just added last month, which I thought would be popular, but so far it's kind of spragging along.
What's that?
Crew listings. So pirate crews who are going out and they're doing events.
Okay.
And they're doing charitable works.
And
they're doing the community, and they're doing small in the park, weapons demonstrations or living history encampments. And really they're enjoying themselves and people are walking by looking or whatever. Okay, that's great. But, the crews are very active. They're doing good works in the community. They're all good people. Everybody's friendly, and it's a great time. They'll show you, tell you anything you want to know about anything that's going on, give you their whole story about what their crew and why they're there, what they're doing, about pirates. So they're a great resource. So I started doing crew listings. So if there's any crew members who are listening.
And there are.
Yeah, we'll put you in the app. It doesn't cost anything. It's just, I do the work. I put you up and give me your dates, your events, where you're going to be, and I'll list it all for you. Somebody's in Delaware and they want to go to a pirate festival, an event. There's a pirate crew up in Delaware, and they've been very supportive. And I've got all their events listed.
That's great.
So if they're doing something private at the Ronald McDonald House, I'll list it, but I'm not going to send people there. There's no reason for anybody to go, but somebody should know that they're out doing great things like that in the community, the Children's Hospital or whatnot. So,
sure.
So we've got a few of those, and that's just another way for pirates to connect with other pirates.
Good. I like that. What's the best way for people to get that information to you if they've got something that they think would be good for the app? They
could message me through the Facebook page.
Okay.
Pirates Book of Days Facebook page. And they could email me. It's just A Pirates Book of Days altogether at gmail.com.
Okay.
That's on the website at piratesbookofdays.com. That contact information is there. And my phone number is there. If somebody wants to pick up the phone and call me, go ahead.
Great. Very cool.
It's just me, just another pirate.
Nice. So let's go back a little bit. You said you've been a pirate fan since you were a kid. You've been sailing since you were a kid. Tell me a little bit about where you grew up and how you got into the pirate thing.
I grew up landlocked in Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Oh, super landlocked.
Yeah. There was a river, a lot of lakes. So I started out on little sunfish and all that kind of thing,
okay.
Sailing. Ended up getting into wooden boat building. I used to build and restore old wooden boats. Huh. I'd restore them and built my own rowing dinghy one day. But I used to restore old wooden boats because I'd find them in a barn and they're way since the 50s, and 30, 40 years later, they could be a beautiful watercraft again. So I take them, tear them apart, replace the broken stuff and the rotted stuff, and make them new again. And then most of them I gave away to people who didn't have a boat and wanted to sail. So, but it all kind of started for me with, I'm an old guy, so back in the 60s, when the green stamps were around, and you used to get your cash register receipts, and they give you glasses and dishes, and they gave you books,
right?
Encyclopedias at the grocery store. So I had gotten the American Heritage Junior Library book. There's a nice little eagle and everything on it, and the book was called Pirates of the Spanish Main. So they had all these, the American Revolution, the Civil War. There were all these mini encyclopedias, and I started out getting it from the library, every week at school. Finally, they had these at the grocery store, and rather than get the plates or the glasses, my mother used the cash register receipts to get me that book about pirates, and I still have it.
Nice.
I have this book from 1964. it's amazing. Like the pictures that you see in here, the Howard Peel photos, or illustrations, and like all the old woodcuts and everything of and the famous one of the galleon with the nighttime under the small sloop.
Oh yeah,
a pirate sneaking up on the Spanish galleon. I had that one featured in the app. That picture's in the book. It caught my imagination, and I've been in love with pirates and dreaming about him and reading about him ever since I could read. So
that's great.
I dragged that book around with me. I don't know how many times I moved and went to school and home and got married and moved, and I still have it. That was my first pirate book, and I still got it. So
that's great.
And we're just like an encyclopedia of all the highlights.
Yeah. I bet that's a good primer all the way around.
And one of the things that, like, when I look at that book that comes to mind is, the general history of pirates and Defoe and Johnson/Mist, whoever you want to believe,
right?
about Excamelon and the Pirate Surgeon and all those books that were published in the 1700s and then republished and updated have just been regurgitated.
Sure.
And when it refers to Charles Johnson, History of Pirates, and it's like, well, that's not even really a reference.
Right.
Because he's making it up as he's going along half the time. If you go back and you cross-check things, a lot of it's true. A lot of it's roundabout accurate. But when you go back and you actually go and you can find the records now online,
right.
You can find art documents, whether they're imaged or they're text, you can find that, generally true.
Sure.
Most of it, sort of. But, like, that's been regurgitated and rewritten. The same die cuts, wood cuts, public domain images, Howard Peel's public domain image. I got license from the museum where his in Delaware, where his, I didn't have to get licensed, but I got a letter of permission saying if you make any money on it.
Okay.
If you reuse his images, although they're public domain because he's been dead for 100 years. So
right.
Those things, you see them everywhere. They're famous.
Sure.
Nobody's telling the other story. Nobody's talking about, Willie Jackson, the pirate. Or Dave Smith. Like, they were out there doing it too, and you don't ever hear about them. And that's one of the things that really got me going on digging up new and interesting, different facts, was to go out and try to uncover the rest of these people, because there's people like me that are really interested in pirates, and I'm not saying I'm a celebrity or anything. It's just like, this is what I love and I do.
Sure.
You're obviously engaged, and you're out there doing something special, and that's kind of how the pirates were. I think, you hear about Blackbeard because he was famous. What about, the 60 guys in the crew? Yeah, David Elliott, whatever. There's Harriet. There's a whole pile of people who are quartermasters and maids, and they got consort ships and all that. So they bubble up in the records, but there's a lot of people out there that were pirates that, like, there's a name on the list somewhere, but what about them? How did they get there?
Yeah. It's because they didn't have cool names.
Yeah.
This is Pirate Dave. Oh, okay.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, every once in a while, I'll come up with, like, a name, and it's like, I'll find a name, and it's like, how's this guy a pirate?
That's great.
Or Billy, but, like, it's like, it doesn't really sound scary to me.
Right.
But somewhere along the line, he was mistreated as a sailor, a merchant seaman. He was taken advantage of, and he said, I had enough.
Right.
Right. There's got to be an easy way to get money than, like, I do this for 3 years, I come home and I get $30.
Sure.
At the end of the voyage, after they dock me for everything and they take everything out of my pay, and I come home in rags, malnutrition, and missing fingers, and okay.
Yeah.
Here's $30. See you next time.
So you've been extremely diligent in your research for this thing, but invariably there come the other people who go, no, that's not how it went. That's not how it works. Do you have a strategy for dealing with the people that disagree with your research?
Yes and no. I mean, I'm not going to put it out there if I don't know it's like a document or a source that's reliable. And you know what? If somebody else did the research 60 years ago and they wrote a paper with the bibliography that was 14 pages long, and I look at the bibliography and I look at the information and I cross-check some things where I can in the same, now they're image documents. 60 years ago they weren't. A lot of these guys have come online even in the last 15 years, 10 years, where you can actually go either see it or see a PDF of it, see an image of it. You can turn the pages in a book throughout the Library of Congress and read the same information that somebody else got in 1924 to write the book about 1742.
Sure.
So if I can go there and know it, it'll take up more characters to source it than it does to actually tell the story. So I tell the story. I put resources in the app of these are the places where I get my information from. And if somebody says, that's not right, it's entertainment.
Sure.
I say,
yeah,
the story goes, or as it's been recorded.
Right. Okay.
Sometimes I'll source it or say where it's from, right in the article, because that's all I have. If I have one published newspaper account from New Hampshire because some guy came home and told the story, and it was in the local paper, and that's it.
Yeah.
That was the only thing that ever showed up, and I can't find it anywhere else. And I'm good at looking for it online. I can't find it anywhere else in a historical society or any of the memberships or associations where I pay my dues to get access to the records. I can't find it there. I'll just say, in the Haverhill, New Hampshire Daily Gazette in 1832, this guy told his story. Here's what it was.
Okay.
If I'm wrong, the newspaper was wrong in 1832 too. So
right.
I'm not a stickler for it. And like this week, we had the Blackbeards enrolling in the log, supposedly, on a privateer.
Okay.
So, Bayless Brooks, I think he's a great researcher. I think he's a talented writer. I think he's a great guy. I've never met him, but I read his stuff. He works hard to get it right. He does due diligence. And there's some people support and believe his story of Blackbeard being a Jamaican planter's son, and
sure,
genealogy, the dots mostly connect and everything sounds tight and good. And he came across the muster roll with Blackbeard signing in as crew. And he went to see as a planter's son. It makes sense. He could read, he could write. He was an intelligent man, could navigate. It all makes sense.
Yeah.
Some people may not agree. Even in that context of that story, I said, he's a great researcher. He's a talented writer. Some people may not agree with this story. It is what it is.
Right.
That's the take. It's a story. I'm not writing an encyclopedia.
Yeah, we can never know 100% for sure about anything with history, unfortunately. But it's the discussion can sometimes get out of hand, which I don't like to see. I think some people don't realize that there isn't one answer to some of these things.
No, people dig their heels in on it, and there's a captain named McCray who, built his own PR program, I guess you'd call it, in the Indian Ocean. Captured, he fought heroically, as he tells it, and all the hardships and privations and marooning and capture and torture and liberation and overcoming hardship, all those things he did. Yeah. He's the one who told the story. There was nobody else. None of the pirates are coming saying, "Yeah, we marooned him." So he was looking for his East India Company captain, looking for a step up. He's looking for somebody to pat him on the back and say, "Nice job."
Right.
So how much of that's real? How much of it's not? I don't know. He's the only one telling it.
Yeah.
So he had the contacts with the governors and the officials to make it happen, to come out as he's a hero. But maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. If he was, great. If he wasn't, that's a story.
Nice. So the app is available in both the Google Play, the Android stores, and the Apple stores. So that's available out there. And you've got a great website that goes pretty in depth into what's in the app at piratesbookofdays.com. I think I got that right.
Yeah.
And so we'll send some people over there, man, to check it out. I think it's a very outside of the history story per day kind of thing, which is very cool. I think just even the festivals and the museums and attractions and all that kind of stuff, I think is very, very helpful for any pirates that are trekking around the country and around the world looking for cool things to do. So that's great.
Yeah, I put cool images in. I I've got galleries. I'm really a big fan of Howard Peel. I was an illustrator and an artist back in another life too.
Okay.
And Brandywine School of Art and everything. I mean, I studied that in school.
Ah.
And like I knew about him by going to see the music, seeing the display, seeing the museums, and Frank Schoonover and all the other illustrators that, like, if you look at, if anybody ever gives them credit, all the famous images that leap to mind from the golden age of illustration.
PiratesBookOfDays.com is where everybody can check out the details about the app. Go to the favorite app store to download it for the phone. It's $1.99, which is super cheap. I know a lot of apps are free, but this one is deserving of $2. I think you put a lot of work into it.
Well, the point, I have newspapers.com membership. I've got paid access to archives because the universities and a lot of these sources, they're not free.
Right.
So I have app hosting, and I haven't made a dime yet. It is what it is.
Sure.
It's like all the other things you enjoy in life. If you have a boat, throw money in a hole, in the water. So it's like that, but it's really just intended to somehow keep things moving along and keep things going. That's all it does, is fund research and access to more stories that people aren't putting out there.
Yeah.
They're locked up. So.
And I think it's very reasonable for what's in there. Very reasonable. So is there anything I forgot to ask you about that you want everybody to know?
Someday we would have a merchandise line, and
nice.
At some point try to get that moving, and it hasn't, just because the app itself takes so much work. Yeah. So it's here as long as I'm here. It's going to keep going because it's what I enjoy doing, and geeky. I like technology. I like playing around with the app, but I'm going to read about pirates. I'm going to read about history, and I'm going to do that as long as I'm breathing. So the app's here to stay. It's not like a one and done. You download it once, you get your subscription, and that's it. It's not every year you renew. It's $1.99 forever till it isn't there anymore.
Fantastic. That's great. Well, Steve, this has been super fun. I'm glad we got a chance to talk finally.
Thank you. I mean, I really appreciate it. Sign up.
You bet. And there it is, friends. That was my talk with Steve Genett of A Pirate's Book of Days. If you want to find out more about the app, just go to your favorite app store and pick it up and check it out. Or if you want to look at his website and see all the in-depth descriptions and things of what he's got in there, go to apiratesbookofdays.com. That's a pirate book of... I'm going to try that again. It's apiratesbookofdays.com. There it is. All right. Like I said, just go to the app store. It's only $1.99. It is well worth it. You're going to love what's in there. And I think it's going to be very, very helpful when you're trekking around the country, when you're on vacation somewhere and you go, I wonder if there's anything cool piratey here. Boom. You go to the Pirates Book of Day app and Days app, and it'll tell you whether there's something cool and piratey there. Yes, they will. We are sponsored today, of course, by Pirate Radio of the Treasure Coast, WKKC-DB, playing the best music of today's hits and yesterday's classics, and Pirate Radio Talk, playing the best pirate shows, including Under the Crossbones, 24/7, all commercial-free. To listen, just go to pirateradiooftheTreasureCoast.com or pick up the Pirate Radio WKKC-DB app in your favorite app store. That's for the music station. Or go to pirateradiotc.com or pick up the Pirate Radio Talk app in your favorite app store. That's for the talk station. You can even ask your Alexa or Google device and say, hey, play Under the Crossbones or play Pirate Radio the Treasure Coast, and it will do that for you. You can ask your little Alexa, that thing that's listening to you all the time. It's just sitting there listening to you. My girlfriend and I were discussing that the other day. She goes, because her phone, she said, okay, Google, just out of nowhere. Oh, see, my phone just did it right now. Stop, Google. Never mind. And she was like, oh my gosh, it's always listening to me, isn't it? I said, it's always listening to you. Yes. And all right. Yeah. Okay. We got it. It's okay. Out of nowhere. Oh, she brought up out of nowhere. Interesting. Okay. Anyway, we were talking about that and my girlfriend was like, oh, it's always listening to me. Right. And I said, yeah, it's always listening. She's like, creepy, a little creepy. But anyway, you can ask your Alexa device or your Google device to play you Pirate Radio, the Treasure Coast, or Under the Crossbones, and it will do that. It will heed your demands. All brought to you by iTreasure Radio, the very best digital media from independently owned stations at iTreasureRadio.com. And that is our show for today, friends. Thank you once again for tuning in. I absolutely always appreciate it. Every single time you do, we've been having an amazing month, and that is fantastic. So again, you can find the Pirates Book of Days app at your favorite app store, the Google Play Store, the Apple Store, whatever you want, or go to the website at apiratesbookofdays.com. we've got some cool stuff coming up. Next week, we're going to hear from the Jolly Rogers. Not one of them, all 5 of them. Yeah. If you haven't heard them yet, Rum Money, Captain Morgan, they got some great songs, especially on their latest album. Oh, look, there's Steve texting me right now. What do you know? And so the Jolly Rogers are going to be on next week. It's going to be a fantastic show. I got all 5 of them on. It's great. You're going to love it. The week after that, we're going to talk to Randy Natowski, a.k.a. Constable Heartless of Blackbeard's crew out there in Hampton, Virginia. We're going to find out about the Hampton Blackbeard Festival, what's going on with that this year, and that's another great one coming up. All right? So make sure you hit that subscribe button. You get the new episodes every Tuesday as soon as they come out, and that's it. All right? So I will see you next week.